It's the RJ Ochoa Show on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. What's going on in Jerry's world? What's the latest from Cowboy Camp? Find out right here, Friday mornings at 7:30 and 9:30 with the manager and editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys, RJ Ochoa. Here's Robin Rudy.
Now, I was led to believe that there was a video portion to the RJ Ochoa Show. That's what I was led to believe.
That's what I was told too, but some people just be slacking on a Getaway Friday.
I don't know, you get all fancied up. RJ Ochoa, Blogging the Boys, joining us via the audio, if not the video. What's up? How are you this morning, first of all?
Great to be with you guys. Good morning. I'm actually, I'm at the salon looking to get nice and fresh so that I can do my best to match with my roommate for next week because he's always looking dressed to the nines. So I just really don't want to fall behind. But in all seriousness, I'm right now I'm sitting in my car in the parking garage. I'm with my family. Squeezed in one last trip of the summer.
Dude, you've been busy.
Yeah, it's just
you're a great husband.
I have to go to California next week. Just a super tall chore and task in my life. Came to Galveston for this week. The whole family's still asleep upstairs. I've got my tank top on, so you're missing out because my shoulders look great this morning. I don't have the technology to show you.
I do have a question. Don't you live next to a beach?
That's true. South Padre, definitely more geographically accessible. We're here with my wife's family, who's from Oklahoma.
Oh, there we go.
I got you. Nicer middle ground for everybody.
So you're telling me that you believe the Galveston beaches are better than the beautiful South Padre beaches?
I'm not going to disagree with that.
Really?
I not only live near Padre, but I grew up there. It's long been my contention that, the locals, we call it the island.
The island, yeah.
Get out of here. Yeah, get out of here with this Padre talk. But Galveston just got more. Galveston has a Ferris wheel, dude. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you got a Ferris wheel, like all of a sudden, you're elevated in the beach scene. Like, it's not quite Ventura Beach, but at least feels that way when you're driving next to the ocean.
So 3 beaches in 3 weeks, man.
Yeah. What's the story? What's the storyline for Oxnard? I've been trying to figure this out, RJ. I don't really care about in the woods. I don't care about the linebackers competition and how they're getting in and out of the huddle. Like, that's just not my thing. I'm not an in the woods guy. I just like to be entertained. What's the storyline for you and the Blogging the Boys guys coming out of Oxnard this season?
I think so far, my biggest takeaway, there have been some things, whatever, the Donovan Wilson injury, the Israel Mukwamo injury, stuff like that. The Jalen Tolbert hype is kind of picking up some steam. But my biggest takeaway, and Rudy, you're going to love this, is that the vibes are really pleasant. There's no discourse, there's no dissension. I was honestly amazed at how boring, to be frank, the opening press conference was. I mean, like that, I was really bored. You mentioned the word entertained, Rudy. There was no element of entertainment to that. And then, not only that, but like an hour after it, oh, no big deal. They just casually unveiled that they have this $100 million contract that they've just been like preparing and putting together this entire time.
Right.
So I'm really kind of stunned at how adult and professional the Cowboys are operating so far. Even the handling of their injuries, which were not ideal, but they happen, and it's just kind of ho-hum as far as their business. And so can that status quo maintain itself, a week in, right, when the aura of having just landed in California starts to dissipate? I don't know. That's what I'm really interested to find out. But for now, I'm super, kind of plugged in on how they're just kind of a normal corporation these days.
That's RJ Ochoa. He is of Blogging the Boys, and we'll have it's like a residency. Like when Elton John showed up in Vegas and stayed there for a while, put on a show a day. Well, he's going to have a residency with us next week. It's called the Cowboys Corner from noon to 2. Make sure you're locking in and checking out RJ on the regular all week long as we endeavor to bring you Dallas Cowboy training camp coverage like no other. Zack Martin.
Oh,
I was blindsided, shocked, floored, couldn't believe it when he didn't get on the plane.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside, which are not, the lyrics to my opening next week. They are Sir Elton John. Just to be very clear.
I should. You're right.
Right. But I mean, I really respect it. I respect how cunning it is because, we've been sitting here talking about how the Cowboys have all these contracts they have to tend to, which they've already done one in Trevon Diggs, obviously. So I kind of admire him saying like, "Oh, you're up against it. Like, here I am." So I really, respect that. I really am not bothered by it, and they don't seem to be.
They don't.
Maybe you want to chalk it up to just like ignorance is bliss, but I think everybody involved kind of understands the circumstances and the inevitable result. The circumstances are these things take time. You can't just like click your fingers together and boom, get the contract done. It's true that, reports are that they started talking about this in February, but I mean, Zack really got like into this, and so it seems like he woke up one day and decided it had to be done. And so I would give them the benefit of the doubt. They love to pay their guys. They love to pay the dudes who are going to be in the Ring of Honor someday. And eventually I imagine that he will get his money. I think it's telling that, every other player on the team, any chance they've gotten so far, they've advocated for that publicly. Yeah, and I don't think anybody's worried about him actually. Like, no, I haven't seen anybody legitimately be like, "Oh no, what if Zack doesn't get this random practice on a Wednesday in Oxnard? Like, how's he gonna play this season?" So it's something that will eventually get solved.
I think it's incredibly selfish on Zack's part. It's like what Zack Martin is doing, RJ, is you're at a wedding and it's a buffet style and his table's already been released and he already got his food and he goes back in line before the rest of the tables have been released. Like, if we're really about winning, and I'll put this on the guy that his name rhymes with him, Dak as well. If it's about winning, you can get your money, but you're gonna have to wait your turn. Like, let's let everybody else get a little bit of food before we start acting selfish and worrying about ourselves. So to me, I'm really not down with Zack Martin pulling this when he knows how many other guys that the Cowboys need to get done.
I think there's definitely a modicum of selfishness. I think that's fair. Right?
But it is the NFL, but I get it. But still, it's kind of selfish to me.
Yeah, I think there's we're all selfish. I mean, there's an episode of Friends where, Joey argues there's no selfless good deed, right? Like there is none. Like to some degree, we're all looking out for number one. And where I would adjust your analogy is I think that Zack Martin is at a wedding, but Zack Martin is the entertainment. Zack Martin's the guy who's been singing, but right now you mentioned he's hungry. He threw the Cupid Shuffle on so he can go eat. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he's been keeping everybody fed. And entertained, and he also lugged in half of the equipment, and then when he got there he helped adjust the table, and then the bride actually needed help and he went and fluffed her veil, and then the father of the bride was pissed off and he talked him down. Like, he's been putting out fires left and right that he wasn't necessarily signed up to do. So and the other thing is, like, not everybody is equally hungry. So I mean, I'm fine allowing Zack Martin to get in and say, I'm in line. You know what, Zack? You can cut in front of me, bro. It's cool. I'm good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Does Micah Parsons say, "Go ahead, bro, cut in front of me"?
Micah's not in line though.
Micah ain't in line.
Well, I guess that's right. So
it's
will
selfish.
he
it's
get
cool.
paid when?
I think he will get paid commensurate, which has always been a difficult word for me in my life. Just, kind of personal information about me, with, the top paid interior lineman in the NFL.
When?
And I would be shocked if it's not before they're back in Frisco. That's how optimistic I am. Before the Oxnard portion of campus concluded. Yeah. I think it's telling that yesterday, Tyler Smith came out and said that, Zack shared with him, like, I'll be there soon. Like, again, everybody understands that this just has to get done and that he has to be selfish, because your earning potential as an NFL player in general, let alone as a future Hall of Famer, is short. I mean, look, we all agree that Zack Martin's going to the Hall of Fame. Zack Martin could retire tomorrow and have an autograph signing, and it would be a fraction of what it would be today, because he's a lineman, right? Like, that's the reality. He's amazing, but like, it's not a sexy thing. Like, when he retires, his name will fade into the abyss like every single one before him. Do y'all even remember who backed up Travis Frederick when he was out for 2018? It was Joe Looney. You know what I mean? That was 5 years ago, but half of Cowboys fans have forgotten that. It is a fleeting moment, and you have to protect it.
You celebrated a little bit too much for me with the Trevon Diggs deal. Yeah, I saw you. I watch all of your stories, and you were like, you put love, and you put like 10 O's and 10 V's and 10 E's, and and I was like, okay, RJ likes Trevon Diggs, but is it good business to pay the second best DB on your team $20 million a season?
Wow, what best? Second
best.
First of all, Ellis, for the way you look at me, and you know the rest. I love that song. So thank you for spelling out love. Second of all, I mean, I don't know that it's like a hot take that he's the second best.
It's not a hot take. It's not a hot take at all. It's just a fact. It's not a hot take when it's a fact.
But he's still a top 10 corner. He's still a top 7-6 corner. I mean, just depending on the given week. And so like the celebration isn't just like you paid him, like this vacuum sort of statement. The celebration is you paid him and you got him to take a deal worth $19.4 million per year. I mean, Jair Alexander leads the way on the market, making 20, and we all thought that that's where the conversation started.
True.
So the fact that he's not even making top 3 corner money. I mean, this is truly a dream of a scenario because his career is still elevating and rising. Even I think his biggest critic, Rudy J, would agree with that.
Well,
so you're talking about, getting ahead of the curve as far as his overall talent is. He might never have 11 interceptions again, but he will be a better corner than he was in 2021. So you're getting ahead of the curve on that. You're not paying top of the line, market rate for him. You got it done. You don't have to deal with the whole year. He's in a contract year. You're going to franchise tag him, blah, blah, blah. And if you want to be super duper optimistic, you've got a bird in hand, when it comes to getting Trevon Diggs to join your team because he wants to play with this one dude and you just got him. I mean, well, it's true. Like, I mean, if we're examining all pluses and minuses associated with the deal, which is, every single one was a letter O in my love, story text. I mean, that is one of them. You now have taken one step that nobody else now literally can towards signing one of the better wide receivers in the NFL.
He is RJ Ochoa of Blogging the Boys and the Cowboys Corners. Catch it noon to 2 all next week live from the tennis courts there in Oxnard, California. Yesterday, we heard Mike McCarthy talk about his responsibility as play caller, and he told us something I found very interesting, that he doesn't really pay any attention to what's going on the defensive side of the ball. Is that a surprise to you? Do you see that being a consistent part of this season if things continue as expected?
I think that there are adjustments that happen, but and there's certainly tape you watch and film you grind and you prepare for certain opponents. But right now, you're installing your offense, and I think that it makes sense for Mike McCarthy to kind of lay the foundation and the groundwork for that. And then I mean you play a team like the Eagles. They're certainly more capable of rushing the passer than others, and you have to adjust for that in terms of how you execute your play calls. But for the most part, I think it jives that you're here to focus on your strengths and to display them and to hopefully benefit from them. And so you've got to take that step. And that's the difficult part of sports is people think like, oh, they'll be just as good as they were last year. And it's like, no, dude, like you have to start all the way over again. Like 12 wins last year, the offensive success, like none of it is valuable whatsoever. You are literally at ground zero along with the rest of the NFL.
What is the biggest difference from 2016, Dak's rookie season, to now? And why was it just Zeke? Was it the other veterans around him? How do they get back to 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, divisional round? Should have won that game if not for probably one of the better throws we've ever seen in NFL playoff history made by Aaron Rodgers. What's the biggest difference between Dak Prescott then and Dak Prescott now?
Well, while we're bringing up painful memories, Rudy, I just hope you woke up thinking about the double doink.
Wow, you gotta go there.
Super Bowl. Shout out to Rex Grossman being the source of your happiness. What was that, 17 years ago? But anyway, so I think the biggest difference, it's a downgrade, is the offensive line. That was the kind of peak version of this, nucleus of offensive linemen the Cowboys have had. So that is, what is literally the biggest in terms of difference. But I think that, that led to the ground game being more successful. I think sometimes this is a weird take, but sometimes your amazing defense is a problem, right? They generate so many turnovers that you have more opportunity on offense. And more opportunities means more opportunities to score, more opportunities to turn the ball over. And, that leads to the other team scoring, right? It's just kind of a dance that goes on forever and ever. But ultimately, I think, if you believe that Zeke was ever the straw that did stir the drink, it was that year. And maybe 2018 when he also led the NFL in rushing, but now the Cowboys are much more dependent on Dak in an overall sense. And I think, that doesn't seem like a long time ago, 2016, but the NFL has evolved so much since then.
Right.
I mean, passing is happening even more. And so today's game is literally so different that it all depends on the quarterback. And so that has all happened, I think, throughout the course of Dak Prescott's rise with the Cowboys. And so you can't necessarily bank on throwing the ball 40 times a game, but you do have to plan and prepare for that being the straw that's future.
Let's get to what matters, RJ. Dan the Man or Toppers on our first night of
what
food?
The hell?
Again, I know that I had a brief moment in time with Dan the Man, right? Like I'm not gonna lie, right? It was
an infatuation.
Yeah, but it was kind of like when you do something different, you're intrigued by the process. But I like the vibe at Toppers. I like when you walk in; it kind of feels like a 90s, sort of pizza joint. Toppers to me feels like if the Ninja Turtles could show themselves in public and go to like a place to get pizza, Toppers would be that spot. They got a spot where you can overlook some water. I'm really, really, really bad at identifying what bodies of water are. So I don't know if it's a marina or a resaca or a pool or a lake, whatever.
What was the second thing you said?
A resaca.
A resaca.
A resaca. Yeah. So I don't know what type of body of water it is, but you can look out and you can see. And so I'm intrigued by that. So Toppers is my choice. I'm a Toppers loyalist, both now and always. And so, yeah, if we don't go to Toppers like day one, night one, and if that isn't the first step towards going to your I forgot what it's called, whatever, scone or donut or
Spud nuts.
The place with the loudest saran wrap in the world that you can get yours, Rob. It's got to be a Toppers Spud Nuts back-to-back meal situation.
I got you. Hey, RJ, as far as blogging the boys, y'all doing over there, give Cowboy Nation somebody to look for or a couple guys to look for that we may not even be talking about. We're talking so much about the stars. Like, who are some of the guys that over there blogging the boys that y'all feel like may have a breakout camp and contribute this season?
This is the typical, Cowboys fan, like, oh, man, y'all just think you're winning the Super Bowl every year. But Jalen Tolbert, I think, is the name right now.
Dak spoke about 2 minutes about him, about how much more confident he kept. We're using the word confident.
Yeah, and I think some of that is kind of the crew looking out for him. He had a poor season last year and was set up poorly by the Cowboys. But he's the guy that I think he's the guy whose leap could be the most consequential for the team. If he really does turn into a viable wide receiver option, now you've got 4 of them. Last year they had 1. You know what I mean? So you go very, very, very far in terms of what you're able to do offensively. Maybe you want to throw Deuce Vaughn into that mix. If he becomes a viable offensive weapon, you suddenly got somebody. And then defensively, I'm still not super comfortable with their linebacker depth. They brought back Leighton Vander Esch, and that's great. Damone Clark was really good as a rookie. But what's going on after that? If Jamarvion Overshown, who unfortunately for him went to the worst school in the world, if he's capable of kind of elevating his play and he can be something special, then you maybe you're cooking with a little bit of gas at linebacker, because part of their linebacker depth is what they've got going on at safety with Jaron Curse and Marquise Bell floating up and playing that hybrid role. But now you're down 2 safeties, so what can you really do? So those are my names right now, but it is, not to have a cop out. It is an ever-changing thing. That's the magic of training.
You brought up Dorrance Armstrong, but you didn't bring up Jabril Cox. Does he have to make a move right now? Is it this year or never for him?
Yeah, the hourglass has been tipped upside down for a while now for Jabril Cox. So we're looking at the final grade the same. Like, this is, think about it. Damone Clark, nobody thought he was even going to play last year. Like, literally, recovering from the fusion surgery. And not only did he make it to the field, but he outperformed and outplayed Jabril Cox, which is kind of a huge indication of how much the Cowboys don't trust Cox. And it's a shame because, once upon a time, he was the kind of subject of that hype.
Right.
He was really versatile in coverage at LSU. And He wore the number 18 or whatever it was at LSU, so he's like a great leader. Just didn't click, and so I do think he's maybe closer to the end of his Cowboys career than the beginning. You can't have all pros with every single pick, and not every piece of hype works out. And so Jabril Cox, tough scene for him right now.
I guess we have to go here that this whole Dak and Mike being on the same page and 30% and language and chopping down the play calling, the name of the plays. Is there really nothing to see here? And it's pretty much going to look the same, just with, shorter play calls and in and out of the huddle quicker. Is it going to change that much? Because we went from 25% to 30. March 1st, I want to run the damn ball. Is there really nothing to see here, and we making too much of this because, like you said, it's just been boring?
I want to run the damn ball thing is the thorn in my side. That's what I am the most like get off my lawn about. Mike McCarthy said that one time, and nobody heard anything else that he ever said. Nobody cared,
including me.
1 week later, they traded for Brandon Cooks and cut Zeke, but they want to run the damn ball for sure. They signed Ronald Jones and want to run the ball. That's the level of investment they made. I think that some things are different. I do think they'll be different in this position. I think that they'll attack the middle of the field more offensively. I don't know how much of that we'll see throughout camp and sort of the preseason, but that's the biggest difference. I saw the great Bob Sturm put it really well last week. Somebody had tweeted it at him or X'd at him, whatever it's called, about Kellen's offense, and he said his point was that Kellen tries to do everything and therefore leans into nothing. And I thought that was such a great way to kind of describe the Kellen. And that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like
it sounded bad really, though, RJ.
It does, but I mean, if you lean into one thing and if that one thing is like stepping on your opponent's throat, then that's a good thing. And so I think we will see that I think that we will see them pick on things more. Again, contingent upon opponent. Will they pick on the deep ball more if they're playing somebody who's more susceptible to that? Will they pick on the underneath stuff more because they know they have some of the faster players in space when the ball's in their hands? I think that they will be more aggressive and more attacking in those particular ways, and that's a good thing in the overall.
If I was Dak, I wouldn't throw the ball to Fehoko ever again.
Never again.
Y'all, I ended the season throwing interceptions, and then your rookie ass comes in dropping passes and makes me throw an interception to start training camp. You're done, youngster.
He looked like a volleyball setter. What was that, man? You're tipping it up?
Give me Jalen Tolbert. Beat it, Fehoko.
It's a tough scene for Fehoko. Not a rookie, just to be clear.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Well,
a 3-year pro, Simi Fehoko.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's not a rookie. You're right. Well, he looked like one.
There is a junior Fehoko, which is confusing.
Yes.
Not a third-year player with the name Junior, but that's his name, and he is a rookie.
There you go.
I understand your wires getting crossed, but that was tough. Fehoko, I think, is kind of he's got that fifth receiver spot somewhat in his hands.
Fifth?
But, if he's you got to carry 5. Maybe 6. So he's hanging out right now. Fehoko had a lot of hype. I know you guys study the athletic spider charts on players when they're measured at the combine. And Fehoko, this is not a joke. This is completely serious. His athletic comp coming into the NFL was DK Metcalf. That was who he was the most like athletically relative to athletic testing. Again, just from a size, speed, overall athletic prowess standpoint, that was his NFL comp. And he just hasn't lived up to that. So my point is there is material there, right? Like this is a slab. This is an incredible piece of stone. It's just, you've got to chisel it out. And he's had trouble with that. He had a better day yesterday. But you're right. I think the interception is really, because of what happened last year, really highlighting his training camp so far. He's going to do a lot to, I think, really put some shine back on his name.
Hey, RJ, can't wait to see you. I guess we'll see you at LAX on Sunday, right?
Yeah, make sure to bring your dreams and your cardigans so that you can hop off the plane and have them with you.
Do not be wearing a tank top, and I'm not ironing your clothes.
Rob will. I've never asked you. Rob, I fully trust. Rob will enjoy it too.
I got your back. I got your back. Hey, send in your Riz VIP.
Yes. Did you send in
for
your
Nobu?
Did you do that?
I've never heard anybody call it a RISVIP before. But I think I did. At least I followed the instructions in the email. So I'm looking forward to 10,000 different methods of communication: the WhatsApp, the text messages, the emails.
We call it a wolf.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a great call, Rob. See, like Rudy, Rob's already more clever than you are.
Yeah, he is.
So you need to catch up. And so Rob, I also, I'm going to be sharing a room with Rudy. So you share a confine with him every day. So if you have any tips or advice on that, I would appreciate it. My only request is that he doesn't wake me up at an ungodly hour when you guys have to go to work.
And 8:30 Pacific time every night, you'll be teaching us the intertwinings of TikTok.
There we go.
Appreciate you.
Our techno advisor and current host for a 1-week residency right here on San Antonio Sports Star. We're calling it Cowboy Corner. Call him RJ a friend, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Peace.
Travel safe, my brother. We'll see you soon.
Get your California playlist. California love.